Today we're going to discuss some of the strategies I use to avoid excessive sitting in the office place. And the reason why I employ a lot of these strategies is because, unless you've been in a hole somewhere, you know this, that excessive sitting has been linked to cardiovascular disease and, of course, premature death. So in fact, if you're one of those people that parks themselves in their office chair for 8-9 hours a day and just barely moves, maybe gets up to grab something to eat or use the bathroom, and that's pretty much it, well, what that means is you can be 10 to 20% more likely to develop certain cancers and heart disease. It's just the bottom line. I have seen some people talk about how sitting is the new smoking. Now obviously, smoking is going to kill way more people than sitting ever will. However, sitting is going to contribute to a lot of things like excessive body weight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, all these sorts of things. So you definitely want to avoid excessive sitting. And also, very importantly, remember, as we get older, our mobility is incredibly important. So if all we're doing is we're sitting in that little cramped position all day long, we're not really exercising our muscles, we're not moving. And the only way to really keep your mobility fresh is to move. So for me, I've got a few strategies really. The number one strategy I've been using lately is also a strategy I use for productivity, and it's called the Pomodoro technique. And the cool thing about the Pomodoro technique is that it is a 25-minute window that I use specifically to focus on one task. All right? And at the end of that 25-minute window, my alarm goes off, so 25 minutes is up. Then I have 5 minutes that I need to take a break. And during those 5 minutes when I need to take a break, I must get up and go do something that's completely unrelated. You know, maybe I'll just get up and go and grab myself a drink of water, or I'll go to the bathroom, or I'll just walk around the block and get some fresh air, or whatever it is. But for 5 minutes, I'm forced to get up from my desk and go do something. Then, at the end of the 5 minutes, I'm back and I work for another 25 minutes. But at the end of those 25 minutes, what do I got to do? I got to get up again and walk around and do whatever I'm going to do to relax. Maybe I'll just walk over or lie on the floor and meditate. It doesn't really matter. The point is that every 25 minutes, you are changing up. And so instead of, we've all done this. You're in the office, you're focused on your computer, you look at the time, it's 9:30. Next time you look up, it's 1:30. You've been sitting in that position for 4 hours. And this is what happens with most of us on a daily basis unless we consciously make an effort to change that. And the Pomodoro technique does two things. Number one, it gets you up out of your seat, which gets you moving, which is awesome. And number two, it enables you to focus much better on what you are doing. If you're one of those people that's worried, well, gee, Jesse, that means I'm going to be taking 10 minutes away from my desk out of every single hour. Well, that's not going to be good. Turns out that if you put that degree of focus, you will actually be more productive than you would be if you sat there for those 4 hours working straight. Our brains work better if we focus and then we give them a quick rest. So it's a 1-2 punch. So you fight the effects of sitting for too much and you become more productive at the same time. Right, another thing that I do to avoid sitting too much. So I've got a regular office chair that I can roll back and forth, but I also have one of those kneeling chairs. And what I will do when I get sick of, because kneeling chairs, they aren't really comfortable, okay? I don't care what people say. For me, they're just not comfortable. However, I can stand them for a while, and it is a completely different way of sitting than when you're sitting in a regular office chair. It's a different kind of slouch. If you're going to slouch to the chair anyway, it's definitely a different kind of slouch than you're in an office chair. You're not like this, you're more kind of like this. So the bottom line is I just like to change it up. Sometimes I'm sitting in the regular office chair. After a couple hours or going in and out of that one, then I'll hop into the kneeling chair. And that makes things a little bit different. Now, the best thing that I did was when I went and I got my standing desk. And the thing about a standing desk that's important is you definitely want a good solid one that goes up and down. All right, I'm not one of those people that thinks it's a great idea just to have a desk that's high and have a treadmill and all that. I'm not advocating doing all that because all that isn't really necessary. What you can do is get a nice, strong standing desk, and when you want to sit down, you've got it. You can sit there and do all of your work, and then what you can do is you can just pull it right up, stand up, do all of your work, and then when you're sick of standing, sit back down, do all of your work. The point is, you don't want to stay in any position all day long. Standing for 8 hours and not moving all day long isn't really good for you either. It's a good idea to just to be able to sort of move around into different positions while you're at the office and still be really productive. So those are really the techniques that I use to make sure that I don't sit for too long during the day. So technique number 1, the Pomodoro, that is the most powerful. I strongly suggest if you're not already doing something similar to that, you should try that. The 25 minutes is a great time for focus for me, but I see people go as long as 50 minutes and maybe take a 10-minute break. You can do that as well. Whatever works for you, but I like the idea of getting up twice an hour. That works. Having multiple chairs, if you have room in your office, that is a good way to go too, because we all know the kneeling chair is ultimately better for your posture anyway. And it causes you to use some of your core to support your body while you're sitting in that kneeling chair. And that's why after a while it's not very comfortable, because it is an active sort of sitting experience as opposed to slouching in an office chair. So you can go back and forth with those. And then the last thing I suggest is, if you do have the space and the funds for it, to grab yourself a standing desk. So you can just, there's multiple ones. You can get a standing desk you can put on top of your existing desk. That's the way that I did it. And you can just pull it up and down. Or you can get a standing desk that just stands alone. But again, if you do that, make sure it is one that goes up and down. Those are my suggestions for the day. Alright, so it isn't likely you're going to get lung cancer from sitting, but I will agree that sitting is now kind of the new smoking. We're going to go with that. But again, ultimately, our job is to do everything that we can possibly do to extend our lives and be as healthy as we possibly can for as long as possible for the people that love and need us, right? I'll actually add some links down there in the description of the chairs that I use and the standing desks that I use. But pick whatever works for you, whatever's comfortable for you. All right, so stand up.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right.
And then sit down. All right, cool. Thanks. See you guys.